All right, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight for Body Talks, Soul Listens, Spirit Guides on Releasing Physical Pain. I'm your host, Kaileen Cox, and I'm so happy you're able to join us tonight. I'd love to see where you're joining from, so if you'd say hello in the chat box. All right, got DeKalb, awesome. Tucson and Arizona, wonderful, and Illinois, very cool, very cool. As the night progresses, we have a jam-packed schedule with some amazing presenters. So we're going to keep everyone muted the whole night. At the end, we will have about 5 minutes or so for questions, but please feel free to put any questions or comments you might have in the chat, and we'll make sure to go back towards them. Awesome. We got North Carolina, Scottsdale. Wonderful. And if you're watching the replay, please let us know in the comments where you're joining us from. Okay, so first, I'd like to just quickly say that all our presenters tonight are BioTouch practitioners, and it's pretty easy for us to say that we would recommend BioTouch for pain relief. However, Paul, who's on our call right now, the founder of BioTouch, already taught us BioTouch in the last class. So if you weren't able to make that one, I highly recommend going back on our YouTube channel and rewatching it so you can start implementing that in your life. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. We're actually going to be starting with me. As you heard, I'm Kaileen Cox. I go by Kai by short. I'm a holistic medium, teacher, and healer. When I say healer, I mean that over the course of the last 10 years, I've perfected the art of holding space for others and offering tools so that my clients can innately heal themselves. I started my professional journey off as a massage therapist. Things have obviously progressed in their own beautiful way. And through massage is actually how I got onto the topic of cells holding memories. Oh, we're mute. Okay, sorry about that. Didn't want to have the replay going. Okay, so I believe from my personal experience that I'm going to share with you tonight that our cells hold on to memories in the cell membranes. And that's from a little bit of research I've done and my story that really sticks with me that I'll share with you now. I had a client that had hip pain for several years. She tried everything from PT to Pilates and everything in between, and never really seemed to get any relief. And so we started doing massage regularly, and it was in a few sessions that I was working on her hip and I got an image of a horse. And so I brought it up to her and she didn't remember anything. So I just kind of thought, oh, maybe my mind thought of a horse. Well, I continued the massage with what I felt was right for that. Since the beginning of my massage practice, my clients always kind of seem to say, how'd you know to work in that area? And it was just the different parts of the body got my attention through vibration. So I would either see something that I would zone in on, or I would have a feeling that I had to work in that area. So I just continued with what I felt was necessary and finished that session. Well, the next week, it was as if I was given a memory from this client of her being on a horse, the horse falling and rolling up onto her hip. So I was like, there has to be something to this. I'm going to bring it up one more time. And so she kind of racked her brain a little bit and she said, oh, that did happen to me when I was a very young girl. There's no way that could be the problem now because this only occurred later on in life. Must just be aging, right? That's the excuse a lot of times we like to use. However, I believe that it's possible our bodies once we hold on to a memory for so long, dis-ease is created because we're not working to release those memories. So I talked it through with her, and we got down to the bottom that yes, this could really be the issue that was going on. And once she verbalized to the universe she was ready to release this memory from the cells, her healing hit hyperspeed. She was walking in better strides. She was feeling less pain. And so I knew from that moment on that this was not just a coincidence because it had happened a few other times, but there was something to this. So tonight, I hope you'll humor me and we'll try this experience together. So, nice and simple. I'd love for you to take a hand and place it on an area of your body that is causing you pain at this time. And we're going to take 3 nice grounding breaths to kind of get centered in our body. So we'll go ahead and do that now. And in a moment, we're going to ask the cells of this area of our body what we need to release the pain. First, I want to talk about the message you might get. So, we're all individuals, and our messages might come to us in many different ways. It might be you just get this clear knowing that, oh, this is the time that this happened and that's what I'm still holding on to. Or you might hear an actual answer, or maybe you get a feeling that you just know is right. Or you might see the memory replay in your head, or it could come to you in your own beautiful way. I want you to be easy with yourself since this might be the first time you're ever doing this. And also know that a message might not come right away, and that's perfectly okay. It might be a few days from now, a memory just comes up out of nowhere, and honor that and say, oh, maybe that's what I need to work on. Or, it could be a week from now and you realize it and start to feel a little better. Well, then you're going to work on releasing that memory. So at this time, let's go ahead and ask the cells, what do I need to release to feel at ease? And making sure to breathe. Now, if you want, you can share your experience in the chat. I'd love to hear from you. Or you can keep it to yourself or maybe journal it down. Whatever feels right to you, again, is perfect. Really quickly, I'd like to mention briefly Dr. Bruce Lipton. My spirit guides recently brought me to his work. He is a stem cell biologist and seems to be the front leader of scientific research on this topic, how the cells hold memories. So if you want to satisfy your logic brain and look more into this, I highly recommend it. I just started reading his book and it is phenomenal. I'll, of course, put his website in the chat along with my website, which I am the owner of Awaken Innate Healing, and that's how you can find me on social media. And I thank you all so much for trying this new technique with me. And I'm really grateful for the time we had together. I am now excited to say that we will be doing yoga with Angie. So I'll go ahead and hand it on over to her.
Thank you for unmuting me, friend. Hello, friends and new friends. Again, my name is Angie, or you might know me as Angelina. I teach yoga. I like to say I teach yoga for people who don't even do yoga. If you want to add in the chat whether you have practiced yoga, attempted it, or this is your first time, please give a word. Either way, no matter what level you want to be at or think you're at, today is so gentle and simple. Anybody can do it. And even if you are used to doing acrobatics, sometimes less is more. So there's a time to speed up and a time to slow down. So if you set your intention to just doing what you are able to do today, that would be perfect. Yoga meets you where you are today, not yesterday, not tomorrow. And our bodies change all the time. I love Kai. Well, I do love you, but I love how you were just speaking about cell memory. What's awesome about our bodies, and also part of my background is neuroscience, I love that stuff, love it. How do we implement this into movement, which is very healing for us? We are not meant to be sedentary beings, other than cell memory and also muscle memory. So if today is your first time, that's fine. We also know that the more we practice, our bodies know it. So it can be as simple as what we're going to do today, which is being in the chair. If you are physically able today to take a stand, we're going to get our wiggles out, as I like to call it, in KIT classes. I sense there is a little bit of nervous energy sometimes in these groups. So this is where we're going to suspend self-consciousness. We're all human. We're going to get moving without doing jumping jacks. Okay, so if you are comfortable or able to stand, it's okay if you are not in the screen. I will be. We're going to go ahead and stand up. Okay, yoga for 20 plus years, which has changed with age and illness. Absolutely, it's flexible and not in the way that we see on Instagram, right? So we're going to stand up, or you can remain in your chair if that's what you would like to do. So for a few minutes, and I'll only speak up a little bit so you can hear me. I'm going to take what we call as mountain pose. Posture is so, so important. Sometimes pain is self-induced, and sometimes it's from age, illness, or a variety of things. Because we only have 20 minutes together, what if we did something that's very gentle and simple so we can get to know each other another time? You will have my contact information if you have questions about modifications or specific health history. So I think about my ears being stacked over my shoulders, shoulders over my hips, and hips over my ankles. Whether I have shoes on or not, I'm thinking about how my feet are planted into shoes or the ground beneath you. Some people call this grounding, but at the least we're becoming aware of our posture and what we are doing in space. Let's go ahead and take a breath. Big breath in. You've been doing it your whole life. Good job. Big breath in. Exhale like you mean it. And you may be on mute, but if someone in your home hears you breathing, it's okay, you're alive. Big breath in like you mean it. Belly expands, chest expands. And exhale, pull the belly back. You might feel that constriction at the back of the throat. So we're using that vagus nerve, which calms down the nervous system. I might spread the legs a little bit into a wider stance, gently bending the knees. Although you can't see my feet, believe the ankles are right underneath my knees, okay? And I'm maintaining my posture. If this is comfortable for you, we're going to go ahead and take our arms into a position that some of you may have seen if you've ever tried a Tai Chi class. And while I am not a Tai Chi master, I have covered classes that are Tai Chi inspired. And so we're going to take our ball of energy here, one palm facing down and one palm facing up. And we're going to start moving with the torso. So breathing as you look and go in the direction of your, for example, right knee. As you exhale, you start to flip those palms and take that ball of energy and bring it over towards the other side. You're nice and strong in your stance and you're breathing with it. You don't worry about what you look like or whether you're doing it correctly right now. You are just in it for the experience. So completely trying to get into the body. Oftentimes when we are working with pain, physical or emotional, Sometimes doing body work first is going to help whatever therapies and modalities you're using be even more efficient. Okay, so we're going to go one more time and imagine you are creating a ball of healing light or whatever works for you. Think about the area that Kai brought up earlier that you might want to attend to. You've passed through a few times, and as we come back towards center, you've definitely brought up some energy. So imagine applying this mentally or physically, bringing your hands to an area where you would like to bring more attention to it. And if at any point any suggestion sounds new or silly to you, you are going to roll with it because you've made your time to be here today. So you might as well see what all the magic is about, right? The power of suggestion is huge for healing. We're going to go ahead and take our seats. I will sit back. And as I find my seat, I even think about posture here, engaging the belly, nice and comfy, sitting tall as if there's a string on the top of the head moving all the way up. Are your ears over your shoulders and shoulders over those hips? Let's go ahead and roll through the shoulders, breathing in as your shoulders move forward. Up towards the ceiling, exhale all the way back. Drag out the breath, taking your time here. Another breath in, you bring it forward. And if your breathing pattern is different, that's absolutely okay. Listening to your body is more important than listening to other people. So if a suggestion from me today makes no sense, you'll say thanks, but no thanks, and continue on. Let's go ahead and imagine you can do that multiple times, even if you are at work or at home. That's also why we are focusing on chair yoga today. I'm going to take my right ear, big breath in, over towards my right shoulder. And I'm not just going to let my head fall. Imagine if even this small movement you get something out of. Gentle stretch and bring that left shoulder down. Not overextending. Easy does it. We're going to go ahead and switch on the breath towards the other side. And you take note as you breathe and bring that head back towards center. We're going to say no very slowly. Big breath in, chin stacked over the shoulder. And breath out as you switch. Are there any areas in the body that you feel need attending to? It might be one that you brought into mind earlier or completely new. By the time we're facing each other again, I'm going to take my hands out towards the sides and I'm going to start rounding through the wrists, flaring, and then pulling in the fingertips. So maybe you were doing 1,000 Zoom calls earlier and you were typing a lot. Let's go ahead and stretch out through the wrists as well. But we're also creating space in the rib cage. Big breath in as I take those hands all the way up. And even if your breath doesn't feel particularly, you're going to tell yourself it does, okay? So now my hands are coming all the way down. My shoulders are melting, my head relaxing. Big breath in, bring those hands up like you're filling yourself with all that air, and exhale all the way down. And no matter what type of pain you might be dealing with, we're going to continue. Whatever pain it might be, emotional or physical, breath is such an important tool, and we have that with us always. So we're going to take those hands up, and those hands will come together, palm to palm, or sometimes it's called prayer. I'm going to interlace my fingers so that I can bring it up and over into a little crescent shape. And breathe here for a moment. We're creating space in the rib cage. Why? So that when we take those breaths that we are so grateful to have each day, bring it over towards the other side. We can expand those lungs and breathe efficiently with a diaphragm, which is what helps calm down that parasympathetic nervous system, right? I'm going to flip my palms to the ceiling and reach, gentle arc in the back, only if it's comfortable. And as I bring my hands down in front of me, they will meet my knees. Hello, knees. Nice to meet you. We're going to go ahead and cat-cow seated here. You might be familiar with doing this on the floor or off of a table. Since we are in our chairs on Zoom today, here's a simple way to arc the back,
tuck the chin. Big breath in, almost like belly towards the nose. Exhale, bring the chest through, shoulder blades back, chest and chin leading. Can you make this movement nice and fluid? Continuing to breathe.
Beautiful. You might close your eyes for a moment to allow yourself to feel what your body is doing. You aren't worrying about what you're doing in 5 minutes from now, what you're doing tomorrow. You've mentally checked that at the door, giving yourself this time. Huge breath. What if you brought those palms back and then exhaled into it?
When you're ready, we'll start to bring it back towards center.
And without lifting your leg as high as I am, I'm just getting in frame. We're going to rotate through the ankles. Okay, so it doesn't have to look as fabulous as this. And no floppy fish, right? Every movement you have is intentional. Okay, so we are creating better communication from our muscles and our nerves through the brain, back and forth. So as I rotate my ankle, pointing the toes and pulling them back, I'm breathing with this too. Everything is intentional. And you're like, wow, this is so simple. I can do this every day. And you're right, you can. Even the most simple movements, getting right out of bed, or when you feel tightness in the hip, which is what we're going to attend to in a moment, you have tools at your fingertips, and the rest of you, if you're listening, to help. So you've woken up the ankles. I'm sitting back in my chair again, only if comfortable. And if this is not a suggestion for you, you are not worried. You're like nothing but a thing, okay? We are going to do seated pigeon pose. So I might use my hand or just lift my leg to cross it so that my, for example, left ankle is going to touch my right knee. This can be painful for some people. If it is, listen to your body. The signals are there for a reason. You can just sit back down. Feel free to message me later. There are a plethora of pigeon poses and hip openers. But if this is comfortable today, or you can bring it up a little bit, go ahead and do that. Still sitting tall with the posture and breathe. If you would like to lean into it, go ahead and do that. Speaking of cell memories and also just the body holding on to tension, I've seen before in yoga classes, especially during hip work, emotional releases that are unexpected. I'm sure massage therapists see it too. So there's something to be said about attending to things with our thoughts and also listening to our bodies. Switching legs whenever you're ready. This can be done lying on your back. Some people will use a strap to bring the leg as close as possible. Muscles in the face are relaxed all the way through your neck and your shoulders. Sitting back in your chair, we'll bring it to our seated mountain pose. At this point, I would love for you to also get in the habit of listening to your own body without Simon Says an instruction. If there is a specific stretch, either something we've done or something you're used to that isn't a headstand, you are welcome to do that. For the next minute or so, you are going to listen to your own signals. And if something speaks to you and feels good to you, go ahead and do that. You can stand up, you can remain seated, whatever works for you. Okay. If you need ideas, it can be something we did within the last few minutes. You are going to listen to your body, so find what moves you, not everybody else. And how is your breath here? Could you get more energetic bang for your buck if you breathed deeper? However, you are holding your body in space now or moving. Imagine that on every exhale, you ground down through your feet. Let go of any tension there might be in the body. And practice makes progress as you continue to breathe in nice and light. We're going to bring it back to our regular seated pose and find a position that we can just relax in. So this will be our ending pose here. You might be used to Shavasana on the floor. We are going to find a way to find peace even when we are seated, because we don't always have soundproof yoga studios, right? We might have craziness going on around us. Can you quiet the monkey mind and find that mindful place? Find your peace. Melt on demand. Even if you have a painful flare-up of some sort, can be arthritis, fibromyalgia, can be a number of things, or acute pain. Can you tap into that breath? And when you exhale, melt on demand. Trying it again, big breath in. And enjoy it on the way out. When you're ready, big breath in. And melt on demand. If your hips are not already situated at the back of your chair, if you have one, you are welcome to do that. You could lay down, but for the sake of just keeping this sense of calm, I would stay with us, seated upright, and bring your back to the back of your chair. If there's a wall behind you, you might rest your head. And I invite you to close your eyes here. Whatever you need to do later will be there. And imagine that for whatever short time we have, that when you open your eyes again, you will feel refreshed. You are welcome to breathe with me if you like, or on your own rhythm. You might breathe in for 1, 2, 3, hold in that sweet spot, and breathe out for 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathing in for 1, 2, 3. Let it out, melt on demand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Continue breathing on your own pattern. And the muscles in the face are relaxed, jaw unclenched, tongue loose. Your neck and shoulders are free to move, chest and belly expanding. On the next breath out, you scan further down the body, any tension you feel anywhere. On the next breath out, tell yourself you are allowing it and giving permission to release. How is your breath here? If you find yourself distracted, no worries, just bring it back in. As you continue to breathe with intention, I would like for you to think of something that you are grateful for today, something that is working in your body. Though it may be imperfect, something went well today for you to be here. So is that gratitude for the fact that your heart is beating, even if there's pain anywhere else? That your lungs are working enough? And that you have a big, beautiful brain capable of thinking about all the awesome things in your life? When you find that thing, I would like for you to do a little face yoga called a smile. Beautiful. And that alone will change your hormones and help you too. So even when you don't feel well, you can smile and help yourself get through. And if you haven't opened your eyes already, and I see most of you have, hello, beautiful people, we'll go ahead and sit back up, perk back up. Thank you for your time today. I hope that you got something out of our 20 minutes together. And if you have questions, definitely let me know. Contact me. There is so much under the umbrella of pain. You can start small, and practice makes progress. Thank you, beautiful people. Namaste.
Wow, that was incredible. I'm going to be honest, I'm not very big into yoga, and I love that, Angie. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here today.
All right. So now we're going to join Eileen, who is a clinical cannibal. Oh gosh, not a cannibal. I'm human. Forgive me. A clinical cannabis pharmacist and also BioTouch instructor who currently specializes in educating her patients. Take it away, Eileen.
All righty. Thanks, Kai. And thank you, everybody, for bearing with me as I figure out my computer screens here. And how timely is this, huh? Pain after the yoga. I got up to try to do these stretches, and I climbed behind the screen behind me here and didn't see my little dog was back there. Tripped over him and hit my face on the shelf. So my lips are kind of throbbing right now. So pardon me if I lisp. Alrighty, so let's get rolling here. And okay, here we go. Okay, so releasing physical pain. I think my computer's got a little bit of a delay here, guys. I apologize. Okay, so the first step when working with pain is understanding your pain. So I'm going to give you a quick little lesson on pain. So pain comes from the Latin word pena, meaning a fine or a penalty. So right away, we already have a negative association with this word. And pain is an unpleasant sensation that can range from mild localized discomfort to widespread agony. It's your sensory nervous system's response to potentially harmful stimuli, potentially, okay? And pain is not really pain, but it's a warning signal to adopt protective behaviors that promote healing. So the big takeaway on this is pain isn't pain until it reaches the brain. And are we moving along here? Uh-oh. There we go. Okay, so let me explain a little bit about this pain pathway I've got for you here. How does this potential warning signal turn into pain? So specialized sensory nerves are stimulated by potentially threatening levels of heat, cold, pressure, and chemicals. Now, these chemicals can be from the outside, like acids and bases, chemicals you think of like in your garage, or the chemicals on the inside, like the chemicals of inflammation. They're very irritating to the nerves, okay? And they cause pain. Or not just irritating to the nerves and cause pain, but they trigger those nerves to fire, okay? Then, once those nerves fire, that threat signal is carried down sensory nerve fibers to the spinal cord. Okay. Now, once there, specialized neurons within the spinal cord fire to ensure that this threat signal is carried up to the brain. Now, not always do we need this threat signal carried all the way to the brain, okay? So these specialized neurons in here normally detect non-threatening levels and can stop the signal, okay? However, if the signal is strong enough, they will fire to continue that signal on up. And the way your body normally controls this is with your natural occurring endorphins and neurotransmitters like GABA and glutamate, okay? Once that signal then passes on up to the brain, there's really no specific pain center in the brain, okay? The brain processes this information and assesses what body part is being affected and whether this event is dangerous or not. And the way it decides that is by going through your brain files and looking up past experiences and emotional states and the context in which this occurred. So in our example of the fellow stepping on the tack there, you know, when that signal gets up to the brain, the last time I felt this sensation in my foot, was this an emergency? Oh my God, did I have to go to the emergency room? And was there lots of blood and stitches involved? And was there a big bill? And is this a real emotional crisis? Or was it only a pebble? And I can just carry on my way. Okay, so the amazing thing about this whole process is that it takes place in like a microsecond, okay? Because you don't have time to waste standing on the tack bleeding and trying to decide whether or not, you know, that you need to step off of it, okay? So this process happens so quickly. Okay, now once that decision has been made in the brain, now this part of the pathway is designed to shut the process down once the decision is made. If there is a threat, excuse me, let me try that again. Okay, so this part of the pain pathway is designed to shut the process down after this decision is made if there is not a threat, because you don't need to continue feeling the pain of that pebble if it's only a pebble. It's time to stop and move on. So your body uses its neurotransmitters like serotonin, norepinephrine, and glutamate to help turn that signal off. And it also uses your endorphins and enkephalins to turn that signal off. However, if there truly is a threat, then it's not going to shut this system down, and it's going to let it continue to fire, or excuse me, it's going to let that signal continue to go down to get you to retract that leg, to get you to jump off that tack and run away from the threat. So then what happens when pain becomes a problem? Well, that's known as hyperesthesia, okay? And that's an abnormal increase in the sensitivity to the stimuli of the senses. So an increased sensitivity to hot and cold and touch, okay? A type of hyperesthesia is known as allodynia, okay? Allodynia is pain due to a stimulus that doesn't normally cause pain. And an example would be touch, and like a sunburn or inflammation or a trauma. So normally when you touch that shoulder, it doesn't hurt. But once that sunburn is there, you can't touch it. It hurts too badly. So that pain is designed to help the healing process. And allodynia usually resolves as the injury resolves, usually. In certain pain conditions, though, it doesn't. And in certain conditions, it can progress into what we call central sensitization. And this is this is when the nervous system goes through a process called windup. And as it gets regulated in a persistent state of high reactivity, such as like fibromyalgia. Okay, so a way of thinking of this is like a narrow path in the woods that with each use, it starts becoming more and more grooved in, and it slowly becomes a trail. And with more and more use, it then becomes a dirt road. And now at this point, it's hard to get things back to their original state. And you can develop now a neuropathy, and that's a pain arising from a direct consequence of a lesion. You can develop, say like after shingles, a lesion in those nerves, or with multiple sclerosis, things like that, or diabetes, diabetic neuropathy. Okay, it becomes a disease of the nervous system, and those nerves are constantly firing. So how do we treat pain? Okay, well, there's there's a huge industry on this, okay? Many ways of approaching this. Mindfulness and yoga, energy work, stretching, exercise, counseling and talk therapy, prayer, body work and physical therapy, music, surgery, injections, chiropractors, you name it. We could go on and on and on. However, that's not my field. I'm the pharmacist, okay? So my field is, I see your body as a big bag of chemicals, okay, that somehow miraculously stays glued together. And I'm looking at this as, what other chemicals are you putting into your body to treat pain, okay? And those chemicals can be from any source. They could be from food. They could be from pharmaceuticals. They could be lotions and creams or patches or pills or tinctures or whatever. It could be, over there, I've got the picture of a nose. It could be aromatherapy. You're inhaling those chemicals through your nose. It could be chemicals that are inhaled, by a vaporizer or inhalers or smoking, whatever. You're introducing these into your body. That's my field, okay? Whoops, let's get past that. That's going to be a little too confusing right now. So coming back to our pain pathway, once you understand where this kink has developed in the process with your body, you can then choose the treatment which is best for you, okay? So now coming back to this first part of the process where these nerves are first detecting this potential threat. Well, the neat thing about this is these nerves can only fire one signal at a time. And it just so happens that the signal for, whoa, it's hot, or brr, it's cold, is a lot louder and faster than the signal for, ouch, that hurts. So if you can distract those nerves with a different, faster, louder signal than the pain, that's great. So again, we're using heating pads or ice. Gosh, and then there's all those liniments and rubs and everything that we call counter irritants, Bengay, icy hot, things like that. Or the inflammation. Is there inflammation going on in these nerves because of the damage? When damage happens there, your body calls in the immune system to fight the infection, to try to heal it up. And those cells involved in inflammation keep this nerve firing with this pain signals. That's why arthritis and all those inflammatory conditions are so painful. So we're going to use our anti-inflammatories. Those could be prescription from your doctor. It could be an injection. It could be steroids. It could be something over the counter like naproxen or ibuprofen. It could be an herbal formula like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm suddenly drawing a blank. It could be a nutraceutical. It could be things like fish oils or white willow bark, arnica, whatever. Okay, we're fighting the inflammation here, okay? Then, however, sometimes when those nerves are damaged between where they're being triggered and the spine, that signal is going to continue to fire, okay? That's going to be, that's where we're going to bring in the anesthetics, things that just numb and shut that nerve down, stop its ability from firing. One of my favorites is capsaicin. Capsaicin, the hot of the chili peppers, it actually depletes that nerve of being able to say, ouch, I'm burning. So just like when someone's eating chili peppers, when, you know, it's the first time you've ever eaten one, that's really dang hot. But if you're used to eating them every day, that pain and that heat sensation goes away and you just enjoy the flavor. It depletes your mouth of what we call substance P and that ability to fire that pain signal. So by using capsaicin topically, we can deplete that pain signal in those nerves there. And the thing with capsaicin, now I'm going to tell you this, if you do use capsaicin, do not apply it on any kind of open skin, or excuse me, open wounds or broken skin. And don't use it after you've gotten out of the shower or the bath or anything, because those pores are wide open. They're going to soak it in. It's going to feel extra hot. And don't put extra heat on top. It's really going to burn you then, okay? And you may get a sensation of, ouch, this is burning, but it's really, it's just a chemical sensation, okay? It's not truly burning you. Anyways, getting off on a tangent, let's get going. So now, what if the problem is in the spine, such as, you know, spinal cord damage or other things like that? Well, here is where things like opioids and increasing your body's own natural endorphins helps the process. What happens here is those opioids and the endorphins shut down that little gate I showed you earlier. It helps to tell the body that, you may think it's a big threat, but it's really not. We don't need to keep this signal going up to the brain, and it numbs you at that level. Then let's go up to the brain here. So how does this play into chronic pain? Well, when we are traumatized with those past experiences of pain, when we associate them with those bad experiences, again, like going to the emergency room, a large bill, oh no, my mom's going to get mad at me, I cut myself, just these huge emotional responses. Or if you're holding a lot of trauma in there and you're focusing on it, this is going to affect how your body turns up that volume knob on that pain. And so we control this with using antidepressants or using what we call anxiolytics. Those are anti-anxiety drugs, okay? And also with opioids. But the problem with those are, as everyone knows, about the overdose, right? The risk of overdose with opioids. That's because there's a center in the brain there that they also happen to work upon that regulates your heart rate and your breathing. And so it can depress your heart and your breathing. And that's where the overdose comes in, okay? Now, this image here makes me think of what Angelina was just showing us. Taking control of that autonomic nervous system, taking control of that dial in your head, okay? If you can control that autonomic nervous system, you can tell yourself, okay, I may be feeling pain right now. My heart is beating really quickly because the fight or flight response has kicked in, but there really is no true danger. It's okay. And tone that autonomic nervous system down, okay? However, if that's not enough, and those signals just won't stop, that's when we also now need to start enhancing this part of the pathway. This is called the descending pain pathway. And that again is where we bring in the use of antidepressants and things like gabapentin. Those are again enhancing this part of the spine's ability to turn off that threat signal going down the spine, okay? So where does cannabis come into all of this? You know, you hear about how cannabis, you know, and CBD has got all these miraculous things, why it can, you know, regulates stress and your metabolism, appetite, mood, pain, energy. Okay, well, how does one plant have so many therapeutic properties? Well, that's because of our endocannabinoid system, okay? The endocannabinoid system, as I said here, is perhaps the most important physiologic system involved in establishing and maintaining human health. So it's involved in homeostasis, okay? And homeostasis is the maintenance of a stable internal environment despite fluctuations in our external environment. So your endocannabinoid system is designed to maintain balance within your body, okay? And you probably have seen these diagrams all over and heard of the terms CB1 and CB2. Well, these endocannabinoids and their receptors, like I said, are found throughout the body. The CB1 receptors are found mostly in the brain and nervous system, and the CB2 receptors are found mostly in the immune cells. Now, there are four key parts of the endocannabinoid system. You have the cannabinoids, and those are actually neurotransmitters that bind to your endocannabinoid receptors. Now, the types of cannabinoids, two basic categories, you could say. There's the endocannabinoids, and those are the ones that are naturally occurring within your body. Okay, and the two main ones on that are anandamide and 2-AG. Then there's the phytocannabinoids. And those are from plant sources, okay? Most common one we know of is cannabis. And the two key cannabinoids we're usually talking about are THC, which is the intoxicating one, and CBD, the non-intoxicating. Plus there's many others like CBN, CBG, THCV, we could go on. Okay, also of importance are the enzymes. These enzymes break down the cannabinoids so they don't build up in the nerves and they're ready for your next signal to fire. Then there's those, the receptors on those nerves. Okay, here cannabis is involved in regulating how these nerves fire. We call it retrograde signaling. So normally on the red line there is a nerve firing from one end to the other to say, ouch, continue that pain signal on to the next nerve and continue that firing. The green arrow is showing you how your endocannabinoids go backwards to tell that original nerve, stop firing, we don't need to do this, shut it down, okay? And these receptors are also found, like I said, on these immune cells, where it modulates immune function and controls inflammation by balancing pro and anti-inflammation, okay? So CBD. CBDs are non-intoxicating phytocannabinoid found in the cannabis plant. It's non-lethal, meaning there's no centers in that brainstem I was talking about where the opioids can interact, or excuse me, can depress your breathing and your heart rate. Cannabis cannot do that. So there is no lethal overdose, right? There's also no direct effect on the CB1 or CB2 receptors. And that's why it's non-intoxicating, okay? It regulates the effects of THC. It blocks the enzymes that break down anandamide and 2-AG. So what happens is CBD blocks those enzymes that break down your natural endocannabinoids, thus raising your own levels, thus raising your levels of natural painkillers. Beautiful, huh? So how do we treat pain with CBD? Well, in this first area here, by using CBD, we're able to calm down those nerves that are firing so they don't fire so darn easily, okay? And the inflammation that's keeping those nerves firing, that inflammation, like I just said, is balanced by the CBD, okay? Here, those nerves that are damaged, if those nerves are constantly firing going to the spine, those nerves are soothed by CBD, just like capsaicin. It works exactly like capsaicin without the sting and hot. Then as the signal's moving up the spine. That signal is quieted by CBD, just like it's quieted by your endorphins and the opiates. It's quieted by CBD. Up in the brain, wow, anxiety, my God, CBD is so incredible at controlling anxiety. We could go on about the studies with that, but here it's going to help break that cycle of focusing on the pain and getting wrapped up in your pain. Here, it's going to help, again, to shut down those nerves going down the spine so that you don't feel that pain anymore. And it's going to help you take control over that autonomic nervous system and get back into your life again. And okay, so I just want to really quick go into how to dose with CBD. Okay, there's a, well, I'm going to call this your dosing window. Okay, if you don't take enough of a dose, you're not going to have a therapeutic effect. However, if you start going a little bit too high on that dose, you're going to start getting side effects, because the effects of cannabis are what we call biphasic. You can actually cause the same symptoms you're trying to treat. So it's very important to stay in this window. Start low with your dose and go slow, because it's going to be too easy to get into that high dose area and start having problems. Now, there's so many delivery methods out there: flour, pills, candies, edibles, tinctures, lotions, patches, vapes. What do you do? Well, as the pharmacist, again, I like things precise, okay? So I'm gonna encourage you to use a CBD tincture. The reason for this is because we can get an accurate dose, okay? Now, keys here, how to use a tincture. I'll make this slide available to you if you want. Looks like I'm running out of time and I need to get sped up here. So again, the key with using a CBD tincture is going to be getting this accurate dose that you can't do when you're using a flower or when you're using edibles. You can't break that cookie into a precise 1 milligram option. So I recommend, like I said, again, starting low and going slow, okay? Taking CBD early, okay? You're going to want to do it as a morning or a midday dose because it tends to be stimulating. Also, you're going to want to take it with meals because CBD absorption increases up to almost 3 times when taken with food, especially if it's high in fat. And again, you're going to start at this low dose for the first 1 to 2 days. Then start increasing every 1 or 2 days by only 1 to 5 milligrams because we're trying to find that therapeutic window. Now, shopping for CBD can be pretty dang difficult because there's many things that can affect it. You know, the impurities in this plant, there's pesticides, fertilizers, mold. Various things can affect the potency, like light, heat, air, and age. And even the extraction method used can affect the cannabinoids and the terpene profiles in there. So ask to see a certificate of analysis, okay? It's going to give you the information that you need to know whether or not this is a good product. I have a website there on the bottom that you can go to learn how to read one of these reports. To make it easy for you, I've done all the work. I've gone out searching and I found this company called Healer, healer.com. They produce their own product, Healer CBD. This is actually a 6-to-1, 6-to-1 tincture of CBD to CBDA. The CBDA is an acidic compound. We won't get into all of that. I can answer your questions about that some other time. What I like, you'll see there on the lower left, is they've got where you can scan and look up to see the certificate of analysis to make sure it has what it says it has and does not contain anything else that you don't want. Okay. And also to make it easy for you, I've given you a code there, Eileen20, and that'll get you 20% off every purchase. So you don't have to worry about signing up for any other programs with them or frequent flyer miles or anything crazy like that. You can just always get 20% off. So with that, thank you all very much. Here's my email address and website. So if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me and I can get you any information you need. And with that, I will close that down.
All right. That was profound information, Eileen. Thank you so much for sharing with us. I will be putting all the information she just said. Real quick, someone just asked, can you order online? I believe so, yes.
Absolutely.
Perfect. So her information is in the chat now, and along with that website and her code. And now we will be heading over to Paula, the beautiful music stylings of Paula Taylor.
Hello, thank you, Kai. So I'm going to just briefly start by talking about the power of sound, and specifically the power of sound in pain relief. And I want to give a little bit of a personal example just because I find that that helps people kind of really grasp the power of this. And it's interesting, I didn't actually see this in my own life until I was prepping for another presentation that I did with a different kirtan. And so I had been thinking back over the last year and kind of organizing my thoughts and what I was going to say. And then all of a sudden it hit me that I'd had this huge shift in a long-term pattern of pain that I've had in my life. And I could really only trace it back to the addition of sound. I feel like sound was the missing piece, sound and music for me. So it's interesting, at this previous event I was at, somebody that was presenting on another topic had talked about, she used the term sneaky deep. So I think sound is sneaky deep. As I said, I was just kind of living my life. And then when I looked back and I saw all these additions of sound and music that I'd added to my daily practice, that's when I realized, oh my gosh, this sound is what finally released this pattern of pain. So last November, I went to an event and I was in a huge amount of pain. I have a history of endometriosis, which is when the lining of your uterus kind of grows outside in other parts of the body. It's very painful. It causes abnormal bleeding. I had bleeding between periods. And men, bear with me here. I know you don't deal with this, but the pain part is universal. So I was in pain pretty much all the time. I had gone and had an IUD placed, hoping that that would keep me from having to get a hysterectomy. That did not work for me at all. I had to have that removed. So I was at this point where it seemed like a foregone conclusion that I was going to have a hysterectomy. And I told myself, I'm just going to put this off as long as I can. So then I went to this women's event and I experienced for the first time somebody playing crystal bowls. And I had a huge emotional healing experience. And I got really interested in the bowls and I started listening to bowls all the time. And then I started my own toning practice using primordial chakra tones. And I'm actually going to be teaching those in my upcoming chakra course. So if you're interested, you'll be able to find that information on my website. And then I started writing music, and that's actually because of Kai. Kai had contacted me and she saw that my husband and I were in a band and she said, oh, would you like to write some music for Raise Your Vibration? And it had always been in the back of my mind to write music for healing or music for expansion, music for spiritual growth. And so with her sort of push in the right direction, her loving, gentle push, I wrote my first song. And then I wrote my first kirtan. And then I wrote another kirtan, and it was kind of just this cascade. And so when I looked back over this last year, where I've added all of these sound practices to my life, I don't bleed in between periods anymore. I don't have pain in between periods anymore. And when I do have cramps with my periods, they're very tolerable. They're treatable with ibuprofen. Before I was at the point where I would take medicine and I could barely move. I could barely drag myself out of bed. And that was the sound, that was the vibration of the sound. And especially using your own voice, which is what we're going to do tonight, this takes us out of physical disharmony, which is what kind of causes that pain, and into harmony. So we are going to do a Kirtan practice tonight. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what Kirtan is and some of the scientifically proven benefits of it, and then we'll get right into the practice. Get my slides going here. All right. So what is Kirtan? Sometimes just kidding. Okay. Sometimes I pronounce it Kirtan. Sometimes technically it's Kirtan. It's kind of like tomato, potato, potato. So Kirtan is a form of devotional music that originated in India. It's sung in a call and response style. And call and response music, that's basically just when one person or a group of people sing something and then everyone else sings that back. Sometimes it's the same thing. Sometimes it's an alternating kind of song or part of a song. It's used, this call and response has been around since we were living a tribal life. It came from indigenous cultures and then kind of made its way into various religions, into Judaism, into Christianity, and as well into Hindu. So it also comes from an oral tradition. So Kirtan was the chanting of their sacred Hindu text, the Vedas. So I don't know if you remember learning in school about mythology. They used to sing the Odyssey. That was how people remembered these long stories. They put music to it and turned it into a song. So that's kind of what we're talking about here. So Kirtan is the singing of a repetitive phrase or mantra, and this bypasses our conscious mind. It allows us to access a state of greater oneness with the divine. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that because that's one of the magical ways that Kirtan works. And Kirtan is traditionally sung in Sanskrit, Hindu, or Gurmukhi, which is I have a long history of Kundalini yoga. I've been practicing for over 20 years, and their chants are in Gurmukhi. So that was kind of how I got introduced to Kirtan. But it's increasingly being used in the Western world now in other languages, like the one we're doing tonight is in English, and in combination with other forms of music, which I think is really cool because they're using hip hop, they're using a lot of different styles of music now to bring this healing practice to a broader audience. So what are the benefits of a consistent Kirtan practice? So that's when we practice this regularly. And this comes from research. A lot of the research they've done on this was actually done with memory patients. So people who had Alzheimer's, people who had dementia, they've done a lot of research. So it improves memory and sleep. And here's the key for tonight. It reduces depression and chronic pain. It improves brain chemistry. It increases telomerase, which is the telomeres on our DNA are what shorten as we age. And so this actually helps us slow the aging process down. The rhythmic tones used in chanting increase the release of natural healing chemicals, and a lot of those chemicals actually Eileen just talked about, so this is like a perfect segue. It helps us shift out of that parasympathetic, out of the sympathetic, that fight, flight, or freeze mode, and into the parasympathetic or relaxation mode, which is where our healing occurs, which is where we can release pain. And this is the thing that I love the most about Kirtan, because a lot of people, like Kai said, I'm not really much into yoga. A lot of people have a really hard time with meditation, and that's normal and that's expected. So practicing Kirtan can improve our stillness of mind, even if we struggle with those more traditional forms of meditation. It can cause a spiritual high. So Eileen just talked a little bit about endorphins. So when we practice this consistently, and especially a lot of kirtans are done for an extended period, we're releasing endorphins throughout that practice, and we start to get that kind of runner's high feeling. It increases emotional and spiritual well-being, which is also, of course, important for our physical well-being. And then this is what I wanted to share my story for, to give you an example. The vibration of sound itself is healing, and it's even more powerful when we use our own voice. Sound allows us to bring harmony to areas we are unable to access in other ways. So I spent years trying to get my endometriosis under control with Western medical techniques, with acupuncture and Eastern medicine, with BioTouch, which helped a lot and is also something that's very sneaky deep, I think. But the sound for me was the missing piece that really kind of helped me integrate and let go of that long-standing pattern of pain in my body. So tonight we're going to practice what I call the pain release kirtan. I've written 3 kirtans now, and each one has a vibration. It has an intentionality. So the intention of this kirtan is to bring us into our body, because we can't make change unless we have awareness, and then to allow us to listen to our body, which is what Kai talked about at the beginning, listening to those messages that we get from the body about how we can help ourselves, and then stepping into flow. So pain is really about resistance. A lot of times we have resistance and we can't let go of the pain until we let go of the resistance. So that's part of what this is designed to do, the vibration of this kirtan. So we're going to do a shortened version of this. The full version I like my kirtans about 11 to 12 minutes. It's just long enough that you really get a shift, not so long that that sometimes they practice this for hours when they do like a kirtan concert is usually at least 40 minutes. But tonight we're going to do just about a 6-minute version of this. It's 6 rounds of the lyrics. And I want to tell you that this is not about aesthetics. I come from a classical music background where if you miss a single note, you can lose your job. That's not what this is. And one of the great things about doing this virtually is that everyone's going to be muted. Part of that is just because it's a cacophony with the kind of lag and everything with the internet. But it's an opportunity for you to make whatever noise you need to make. So it's not important that you match my pitch exactly, or that we're singing exactly and together. What's important is that you allow your own body to vibrate and let the sound flow through you. So don't worry about how you sound. Nobody can hear you. The vibration of this is what really matters. So in between each round, I'm going to encourage you to take a big, deep belly breath and sigh it out, and let yourself make a little bit of noise. That actually vibrates the vagus nerve. That helps bring us into that relaxation, that parasympathetic mode. And so in between each round of this, you have an opportunity with that breath to kind of release anything that came up during that round of singing. So here are the lyrics, and I'm going to take these down for the actual song, but you can see they're very simple. And I will sing a line, and then you will sing back to me. And we'll do one line, we'll do the second line, the third line, and then we're going to repeat the whole thing about 6 times. So the other thing I wanted to say is I'm singing with a backing track tonight. So you'll hear other voices with me, and part of that will help you know when to sing. I usually put an arm or 2 up so you know. But also that creates this vibration in the room that you're in, since we're not physically in the same space. We want this sound to vibrate in the room, and I'm going to gift everyone here a full version of this kirtan. So play this in your home, practice it, please sing it by all means, but you can just listening to this, just having the vibration of this music and this energy in your space has the intention of healing physical pain. Let's see, that's all I had to say. Great. All right, so I arrive, I am present in my body. I listen to my body, I step into flow. And I'm going to take that off just for the recording. We decided it was a little bit better if we had the video back up. So I'm going to take a little sip of water and then we will get started. And please sing along. I arrive, I am present in my body. I arrive, I am present in my body. I listen to my body. Listen to my body. I step into flow. I step into flow. my body. I listen to my body. I step into flow. I step into flow. Take a nice big breath. Let anything go that you're no longer needing to hold on to. I arrive. I am present in my body. I arrive. I am present in my body. I listen to my body. I listen to my body. I step into flow. I step into flow. I arrive. I am present in my body. I arrive. I am present in my body. I listen to my body. I listen to my body. I step into flow. I step into flow. I arrive. I am present in my body. I arrive. I am present in my body. I listen to my body. I listen to my body. I step into flow. I step into flow. This is the last time, so really sing out. Let go of anything that's been hurting you. I arrive. I am present in my body. I arrive. I am present in my body. I listen to my body. I listen to my body. I step into flow. I step into flow. Take one more big deep breath in through your nose and sigh it out. Check in with your body here. Notice if there have been any shifts, if anything feels different, or if you maybe just feel more relaxed. We're just going to take about 10 to 15 seconds to absorb this energy. Thank you so much for practicing that Kirtan with me. I hope you feel a shift. I hope that you will go to the website and download that Kirtan. And if you'd like, while you're there, you can check out my upcoming chakra course. And I will be teaching the primordial chakra tones. And that for me has been probably the #1 thing that shifted that pain pattern for me this year. So thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you, Paula. Some people were saying how it reminded them of church, and that was exactly what I was thinking as well. And just the healing vibration that came from it was absolutely beautiful.
I want to also just quickly, sorry, Kai, I want to say thank you to Kai for organizing this event and planning it and getting us all on the same page. And thank you to Eileen and Angie for your beautiful presentations. And now I'm really done.
Well, thank you so much for being a part of it as well. I know we have gone a little bit over our time. So if people start leaving, we understand, but we would like, if anyone has any questions, we can answer those really quick if you want to put them in the chat or jump out and actually say anything. Otherwise, we are so grateful that you joined us tonight. Another great Body Talks, Soul Listens, Spirit Guides. The next event I will be putting together will be on releasing emotional pain. So keep an eye out for that. Today was all about physical, and we'll go into the emotional side of things. Paula's website is there in the chat, and everything that was in the chat tonight as far as contact information will be emailed out to you along with a recording of tonight. So please check that out. Oh, someone just asked that, same wavelength. Let's see, are there any other questions? Looks like that's all people are saying. If your video's on, I'd love to take a moment and get a quick smile so we can have a picture of tonight. And I thank you all for joining me, and I hope you've learned things, and whatever you didn't learn or need tonight, release. Whatever you took away is perfect. So thank you, smile. And everyone have an amazing rest of their night. Thank you.